Hello and welcome to The Big Fight, a show that is young at 23, the oldest running debate show on Indian news television. I'm Sanket Upadhyay. You've heard the old saying, practice what you preach. Let us now take a look at these two pictures on your screen right now. So on one hand, you have the preaching, which is a fantastic message of the RSS chief himself, leading from the front, visiting a madrasa, visiting a mosque, spreading the message of unity, harmony, speaking to madrasa kids, telling them you should also study the Gita. Who can possibly find a problem in this? It's very nice. It was a positive message. One thought that this is going to bring about a change. But then the practice by members of the political arm of the Sangh Parivar is something else. A member of parliament is asking for a total boycott of a community. Others openly declaring festivals a no-go for non-Hindus. A sitting home minister of a state upset with a harmless ad on Greh Pravesh. After Nupur Sharma and the global outrage, one thought that a lesson or two would have been learned. But have we gone back to hate? Are we witnessing a fresh surge in hate in this festive season month? From Garba to Navratri to pre-Diwali shopping messages by MPs no less, that don't buy stuff from them, total boycott. We would like to call today's edition of The Big Fight the following. Warning, a severe hate wave ahead. So we are going to begin that discussion on The Big Fight, the big warning, severe hate wave ahead. Let's now quickly introduce all our guests this evening. Professor Govardhan Das, BJP leader, is with us. PKD Nambiar, BJP supporter. Rohan Gupta is a spokesperson of the Congress Party. Zainab Sikandar, columnist and writer. And DGP Vikram Singh, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. Thank you very much for joining us. We are going to begin with Desh Ratan Nigam also. Sorry, a political analyst now joins us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
you for remembering me.
No, one more. People are joining in slowly and I see you. My apologies. Let me not over-explain myself. So let's begin this program by starting what we call the first punch. So I am going to begin with you, Mr. Desh Ratan Nigam. What do you feel? Is this a severe hate wave all over again in this country?
No, certainly not. I think such isolated incidents keep on happening, and it is happening across the board. Now, whether, it was on 9th of October, there were 8 rallies of Sar Tan Se Juda on Miladul Nabi, Eid Miladul Nabi. But I don't think your channel or any channel covered it. It was all Sar Tan Se Juda, open call for beheading. Nobody covered it. So it is across all, and I can name you the places also, 8 places across India where it took place. They are the only recorded ones, but there were many open beheading calls in those rallies. Then there is an issue of hate speech contained in the holy scriptures. That's also because the source of the hate speech in certain sections of our society. And I condemn hate speeches across the board, but problem comes, the fight against hate speech gets diluted because when it happens in UP or by 1 or 2 people from the BJP, then it is very highlighted. But if it's done by OSC, I think a lot of people remain quiet. So that selective approach towards hate speech, dilutes the fight against this kind of a rumor mongering.
Sure.
And
I'm going to come back to you. Spokesperson of the Congress Party, Rohan Gupta, your views. Rohan Gupta, your time begins now, Mr. Gupta. Okay, let me quickly go.
Can you hear me, Sanket?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, fine. Your opening comments, Mr. Rohan Gupta.
So, Sanket, the way BJP is using hate speech every day you will see contradicting statements from BJP. Sometimes you will hear that Sangh is going and meeting the Muslim leaders and going to madrasas, because obviously Bharat Jodo Yatra is going and there is pressure on BJP and Sangh to, change their overall image in minds of people. But they cannot change the basic roots, the basic DNA of BJP. We have seen BJP MP speaking against Muslims. So for them, hate speech is tool to generate votes in names of Hindus and Muslims. And if BJP doesn't do that, obviously on the name of work, on the name of development, they cannot go to people and ask for votes. So it is their compulsion. But the way they are using this compulsion for garnering vote, it is...
Okay, I'm going to come back to you. We lost Mr. Rohan Gupta's connection one more time.
Can you hear me now?
Zainab
Sorry, there is
Sikandar,
network issue.
your opening comments, please.
4 days ago on Monday, the Supreme Court very clearly said that hate speech is sullying the atmosphere in India. A month ago, on September 21st, the Supreme Court had again questioned the union government and said that why are they mute spectators to hate speech? The biggest problem in India is there is no definition of hate speech and there aren't enough laws that define hate speech, which is why most of the MPs or anybody who's perpetuating hate and hate mongering can get away with it. The privilege of impunity lies with a few people. For example, there are no FIRs till date against people who recently, had hate speech, and they can go ahead and make it a matter of convenience that we didn't take a community's name. But implications are enough in an atmosphere that is already very tense in India, which the Supreme Court itself has noted. We are allowing people to go scot-free, even though they are making genocidal calls, be it in a Dharam Sansad, be it in a political speech, be it in a speech over a religion, which is a religious meeting, but then it is made political by making hate comments and spiteful comments. So let's not be naive. Let's not act like ostriches with our heads under the sand and not look at the obvious. There is rising Islamophobia in India and we cannot deny it.
Sure. Okay. Professor Govardhan Das. Your opening
comments. Good evening. Actually, once Varish Pathan, the spokesperson of AIMIM, said 20 crore, 80 crore ke upar bhari padega. Indeed is happening. In Hyderabad, Durga idol is being vandalized. In Lucknow, Hanuman idol is vandalized and Shani idol is vandalized. In Bijnor, the Ma Bhavani idol is vandalized. Akbaruddin Obashi, what he says, the 15 minute de do, the Sare Hindu khatam kar dunga. Maulana, the Congress spokesperson, what he was talking about, he really thought about the Tariq Raja Khan, who was inciting Muslim mobs to vandalize the Hindu temple. The Imam Masood, he was doing all kinds of hate speech and being arrested, and he was giving Congress ticket. So do you think about the Maulana Wasim Pathan, who was inciting the Muslim mobs and for vandalizing the Hindu temples? So basically, when there is a BJP, somebody says something, then all this national headline news and the channels, the Congress fired communist channels like NDTV, all they will showcase all these, but not when there is happening with
no,
this.
I don't know. This is a weird allegation.
So that
I refuse to entertain this allegation.
You highlight all these.
I am not going to use this name calling. You see, my point is, Professor Govardhan Das, I would just want you to respect the platform on which you are right now. Instead of abusing the platform, it just spreads a very bad atmosphere. I'm not going to get into a verbal duel with you.
No.
I won't let you outshout me, neither will I do that. Let's maintain some sanctity of this discussion. Some sanctity, Professor Das.
I'm maintaining sanctity.
I appeal to the JNU professor in you. Let's maintain some sanctity.
Of course,
a professor of the prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru University, I appeal to you, let's maintain some sanctity, sir. Please, thank you so much.
I do.
Let's move on.
Of course I do.
Let's move on now. Tanveer Ahmed Mir. Tanveer Ahmed Mir, your opening comments, please.
Well, thank you, Sanket. I've just heard the fellow panelists on hate speech, and you're very right. The hate speech is something that quintessentially attacks the democratic ethos and ethics. It's against the humanity. It's against attacking innocent people just because they believe in different spirituality. any person who indulges in hate speech has his own motives. Unfortunately, the motives here are only political. Let's not forget that the targets of hate speech are also human beings. They are also Indian citizens of equal right. They also need to be respected. Just because the political parties want to make mileage and take electoral dividend of demonizing the Muslim community, therefore it is upon the majority people in large, that is majority Hindus, majority Muslims, that it's very important to get together and to basically throw off all these monkeys and show them the door.
Your opening comments, the time for the opening comment is over. DGP Vikram Singh is also with us, and Vikram Singh is part of the many former officers who have written a letter complaining about the manner in which certain comments were made in the form of an oath pledging to disassociate or dismember certain people from Hindu gods and goddesses. Now that too is hate. This is also a severe hate wave, DGP Vikram Singh. So when we'll talk about hate, we are not only going to concentrate on hate by a particular party or a particular setup. Let's talk about all of them.
I agree with you, Sanket, and I would begin with the biblical statement, let him cast the first stone who has not sinned before. It is difficult to identify a single group or a single political party that is not at fault today. The observations of the Honorable Supreme Court are there for everyone to see, and Mr. Tanveer Ahmad, as always, has come out that hate speech does no good to anyone. To the contrary, it is suicidal to indulge in hate speech. Do not send to know for whom the bells toll, because they toll for thee. And as far as law is concerned, to Mr. Sikandar, I would say there are enough laws, but there is an acute reluctance to implement. There are 101 FIRs against a particular MLA of Hyderabad, but only one conviction. And I can tell you the laws: 153A, 295A IPC, National Security Act, 151 CRPC. And I, for one, have never felt helpless, Sanket ji. Whoever spoke out of turn got his money's worth in no time, and that was the time he vowed an absolute vow of silence and to become a decent gentleman for all times to come. That is the way. If you are there to enforce the rule of law, you can never be helpless.
Okay, PKD Nambiar, your opening comments.
Well, Sanket ji, I believe that hate of any kind by any group or any section of people or an individual is not acceptable today. But however, there are hypocrisy when we discuss about the hate or the inflammatory speeches by various people. We try to forget one section of the people, how they are speaking, as my earlier co-panelist was talking about a certain in all across. People don't want it to have that. It is not becoming a part of a national discourse. While I condemn, as I said, that even the Parvesh Sharma, what he spoke, that may not be the right way to put it across. But it is important for every media or every panelist to ensure that we condemn all kind of a hate. As I was telling you in the afternoon in your sister channel, it is also important for us to define the hate and the inflammatory speeches in two different terms. What is hate needs to be identified. There may be a law which needs to be come up with so that there is solid action can be taken. But let us call hate as a hate. Okay. Don't put religion in it. If there is a religion, then there are religious texts in this world which talks about hate.
Sure. I'll tell you how this is, as much as this is of political, of senior political functionaries, and that too after that great expression of solidarity of the RSS chief, you've got MPs no less giving such comments. But it is not just that. You see, the problem, Professor Das, is that at all levels there seems to be some cancel culture in place, where a moral police is going to step in and it is going to question. Let me add to what happened this week. You have the favorite whipping boy for a particular section, Mr. Amir Khan, in a controversy again, this time over an advertisement. And the Home Minister of a state, no less, had an objection. That why are you playing around with our culture?
Sorry, I'm getting into out of turn, Sanket, but why this fascination only for a Hindu festival, Hindu gods?
Professor Das. Let me add a rider very quickly. Had a progressive ad spoken about a girl refusing to wear a hijab but still wanting to go to school, and this being shown as, you know, societies must change, so should we, then even that should have been appreciated.
Why but that is not made. But
yeah,
that
Professor
is not made.
That is not made. I think you are not seeing that ad properly, I believe.
Professor Das, please.
See, Sanket.
Yeah.
So what you are saying is basically any kind of hate speech and hate activities is condemnable. But the thing is, when you try to cherry pick up the one side, you take one side. That is the problem.
What cherry pick?
Yeah,
we will talk about all hate. You mentioned this whole list. You mentioned this whole long list, Professor Das. In many of these cases, it is your government in power. Take action. Put them behind bars.
Okay, so you are doing that, you know, a debate, a show. How many times the Sanket Upadhyay has done debate on all these listed hate speech been gone, and also all this harm been gone. And in West Bengal, today, you cannot do Durga Puja. You cannot do immersion of the goddess Saraswati. What is going on? How many times the Sanket Upadhyay has done shows on these topics? Did you? You did not.
No,
so that means you are trying to check. Yes.
The point is, Professor Das, what you are engaging in right now seems to be some form of whataboutery. The question that I am asking you right now is, post the Nupur Sharma, and we are dealing with a specific case in point. If you would start bringing up, why didn't you speak then? Why didn't you, you know, this is an argument that can go on, and we can keep debating this for 6 hours. The point is, after Nupur Sharma episode, one thought that a message may have been learnt. The hotheads and the motor mouths of those people affiliated with the government would have been told a thing or two on keeping quiet.
But in
Telangana, I'm not saying what they're saying. One moment.
Sanket,
one moment. Message for Professor Das. But we see an MP, a member of parliament saying boycott, total boycott.
Is not a BJP man. Telangana, Asaduddin Owaisi is not a BJP man. Neither he is associated with RSS. This is called as cherry picking.
Take
why
action.
Don't you talk about
take action.
Why don't you talk about?
I'm saying
Owaisi?
one moment. Hate. You are talking about one moment.
The people who are making all those noises.
You are dislodging me from the discussion. The point is.
No, I am only saying
the point is for a statement that has been made earlier.
It is true. I am saying that all hate needs to be condemned.
All hate speech condemned. Argument finished. All hate speech condemned. But in that same order, one moment, please. I have to entertain other guests also. Professor Das, do you feel that this is the resurgence of that hate all over again? I mean, all the lessons learned post Nupur Sharma, all gone down the drain. Because
it's
MPs,
not only
senior functionaries of the party, not some fringe, have now started saying things like total boycott. This is for Professor Das, Mr. Nambiar, please. So, one by one.
Okay. So, Sanket, I know what you are trying to pick me. That's fine. The one thing, any hate speech in any form is condemnable. But the thing is, did you talk about when the Varesh Pathan was saying all his comments? Did you talk
him,
about?
Sir, arrest him.
Arrest
him. Take action. He will defend himself.
Yes. So basically,
did you do this? Did you do that? There is a case where there is a member of parliament openly talking about, Rohan Gupta, openly talking about boycotting, total boycott of a community. I feel this is hate speech. Rohan Gupta.
See, Sanket, as I was mentioning my opening remarks, this is possible only in BJP government that the official spokesperson or the MP, they are responsible for the hate speech. We are not talking about the common people. We are talking about the party which is in power. We are talking about the office bearers of the party which is in power. This is possible only when the ideology of the party which is ruling is supporting this kind of hate speech. You tell me who is getting benefited out of that. because of the communal atmosphere in India. These are the parties which get benefit out of this. So they will not take any action. They will not be able to take action, and this is the reason why more and more leaders, BJP leaders, they are inclined to do this kind of hate speech, so that they go into vote bank politics. You tell me what is the intent?
Is the resurgence directly linked to elections one by one? First Deshratan Nigam and then Zainab Sikandar.
I need 10 seconds.
I'll come
Congress
to you.
spokesperson.
I'll come to you. First, let me take this discussion forward, please. Yeah. Deshratan Nigam, do you think that this resurgence of hate, this severe hate wave and the comments have something to do with elections? They're coming very close to elections.
No, I don't think so. Manish Sharma was brutally murdered by 4 Muslim men. Was it related to election? Parvesh Sharma later on clarified that he was talking about such criminals and jihadi elements. Well, that it could be a borderline hate speech and should be investigated. I am not against that.
No, because I heard his speech. Deshratan Nigam, I heard his speech. He was talking about economically boycotting them.
Yes, he said them was those jihadi elements and criminal people who killed Manish Sharma, brutally chasing him on the streets. Well, that could be a matter of investigation. I am not against investigation and taking him to task. The fact remains that such kind of, hate speech can only be controlled. One is through having, as Zainab clearly said, we don't have a very clear definition of what is hate speech. It has to be very clearly defined. Either the Supreme Court lays down very clear parameters, although they have tried to do so, but that still is very nebulous.
No, but don't you think that the laws at present can handle that definition? Because I've spoken to BJP Vikram Singh on a number of occasions. He says the laws are there, the provisions are there.
It is only for the implementation.
You can identify.
Hate is not the word.
Let me answer that. Let me answer that. If there are officers like Vikram Singh, then the law is clearly defined as per their strict discipline and what they think about the law. But when there is a doubt, it requires a strict definition. And I don't think anybody can deny the fact that we don't have a very clear definition of a hate speech. And I have taken this stand even before with you on your previous program quite some time back. And you define that and across the board, take strict action, lay down parameters if you say so. Yes, then here it becomes a subjective matter for the police also.
Sure.
That it was said in that context. It was said in that reaction. So that kind of, nebulousness or the state of flex has to be removed from as a neutral person, if I say so. Now, however, as I said, the fight against such things, gets diluted if you cherry pick or selectively. We are not talking about your channel, but across the board. When
I'll tell you why this is not cherry picking, because just very recently, I just told everyone about this letter that DGP Vikram Singh has written, where he feels that DGP Vikram Singh, will you call what Mr. Gautam did hate speech, openly inciting people against gods?
Yes, Sanketji, that was an extremely bad taste, and the so-called...
So it's not against one person.
It is not against one, it is against the Hindu religion, that I have no faith in particular DT1, particular DT2, particular DT3, and you are most welcome to take any faith of your choice, but you have no business to deprecate the faith of other gods and goddesses who are held in the highest esteem and are worshipped by a vast majority of the people of India. And therefore, to have a common oath in public and to denounce that you have no faith in the divinity of those people, those entities and those deities who are held in the highest veneration, that is worst form of depravity, and I would say extremely bad taste for those, especially those who are holding constitutional posts, and therefore they need to be thrown out.
Okay, Tanveer Ahmed Mir, I want to come to you now. This point that Deshratan Nigam was making about, this point that he was making about a definition for hate speech. Do you feel that this is something which has to be sorted out first? Should you want to fix this menace?
Not at all. Rather, it is a matter of complete obfuscation. What you're doing is that your ability and inability not to take action in specific cases where the hate speech is being indulged into political parties, political leaders, just because they enjoy the patronage of the ruling party, or in convenience and pure tacit arrangement with others so that you at least have a punching bag on the other side. What is most despicable, Sanket, is that the ordinary innocent person who gets slam banged in the middle and, loses his identity and loses the respect in the society. I firmly believe, as DG Vikram Singh said, that what you need is police officers with spine. The police officers need to basically show their thumb to political bosses. They need to be true to the sacrosanct oath that they took, that we will abide by the constitution and the rule of the law. There are enough penal provisions. The idea is to book people and then take that charge to a logical conclusion. You arrest 10 people, let the courts deny bail, and you will see the effect in the society.
Okay, Zainab Sikandar's point. Yeah, Rohan Gupta, I'll come to you. Zainab Sikandar, please.
Very respectfully, I'm just giving my rebuttal to Vikram Singh ji. It's not me who said there are not enough laws in India when it comes to hate speech. It was the Election Commission who told the Supreme Court last month, and I'm quoting them, that there is no law on hate speech in India and that it has therefore been relying on provisions of the Indian Penal Code and the Representation of the People Act 1951. Now, why I'm specifically mentioning this? Because nowadays, anybody can get away in spite of inciting hate, and anybody can get arrested even if they've not incited hate. There are two sides to this coin. In this entire debate, there has been a lot of Hindu-Muslim, but I think that is also a way of spreading hate on national television. I think we should abstain from that and be very responsible in our statements. So without mentioning any religion,
from what,
any
Zainab?
person...
Sorry, I didn't understand you correctly. From
a
debating.
lot of co-panelists, a lot of co-panelists are taking names, taking religious communities' names, talking about scriptures. I think that is very distasteful and that is borderline hate. I think we should be pertaining to that and speak very responsibly on national media about how we should even approach hate speech on a public forum. And why I'm particularly saying this, because some people are getting away with hate speech while some are not. I'll give you a small example. Be it the Rediwalas on the road. There are certain colored flags. I'm not even going to take the name of the color. Certain color flags are placed on certain street vendors. Why? To segregate them as belonging to a certain religion. Okay. Then when there are stone pelters, say for example, and we've seen so many incidents in the past, their houses are bulldozed. Okay. I am not saying it is wrong or right, but I am saying why do some get punished and why do some get away with it? That is what we have to deal with.
Sure.
I am not going to fall for the trap and speak Hindu versus Muslims as some co-panelists on this panel are speaking.
Okay.
I think it is very irresponsible and that is also a form of hate speech.
PKD Nambiar, your response.
Well, one thing is very clear, that we all in the panel are against the hate speech. And I am very clear that the hate is, whether it both either Parliament or the Supreme Court.
No, let me start by asking you, do you feel that there has been a sudden surge? We feel there is
no sudden surge. So there is a surge. Actually, I will tell you, we are now living in the social media era. So anything and everything, whomsoever is speaking anywhere part of the country will get boosted. And definitely there are some elements, irrespective of the religion or the political party, they feel that this will get them an immediate stardom, maybe a visibility, and somehow knowingly or unknowingly, the people like the media like you and me will give them an opportunity to celebrate themselves. Maybe while doing so, we may be actually doing an injustice to an inflammatory. I am not of an opinion.
Mr. PKD Nambiar, you've got are we not supposed to debate a sitting MP
may I ask
openly spreading hate?
May I ask you something, Sanket? I know that you will not let me speak the complete statement. May I ask you something? In Telangana, I think BJP is not ruling. In Telangana, an MLA and an MP, how many times they have done the hate speeches and how many times they have been arrested?
Arrest. Simple.
My dear friend, why don't you ask this to the Telangana government?
Yes.
Of course,
I did not know. I was not aware that you are going to bring that up, or I would have invited a TRS spokesperson.
May I humbly ask you this again?
I would have, Mr. Nambiar, I did not know you are going to bring in Telangana here. I would have got a TRS spokesperson.
My dear friend Sanket ji,
I can't answer on their behalf.
Now, can I complete my statement? You have a special love for BJP. I understand that. You have a special love for the Delhi MP. I understand that. I want you to love all these MPs who are.
That's the problem, Mr. Nambiar. This personal attack. You have love.
You are very.
Professor Das will say something else. This is. I mean, friend, I'm not going to get into this.
Today with
you are trying to provoke me.
I wanted to tell you that anybody
good luck with that.
Watching this show will understand.
It's not happening.
You are being very impartial. You are given enough time to other panelists. When it comes to me or some of the people who are talking towards another section, you are being very, you are intolerant today.
No, that is not true. That is not. DGP Vikram Singh is here talking about an Aam Aadmi Party minister spreading hate.
You will get to know.
I'm not going to explain myself, Mr. Nambiar.
Can I make one statement? That's all. Then of course you can move on. My only humble submission.
But this non-stop, your bias is frankly silly.
And actually that is very visible. I generally never say this. Today it is very visible.
No. You make your point and move on.
Can I?
Yes.
My point is very simply this. Hate is not acceptable, clear. Inflammatory speech and hate, this needs to be defined by a law, which is either by the Supreme Court or by the Parliament. I am for it. But in the meantime, I am also very clear with the fact that if there is just making some remarks about a particular community, whether it is political or religious or a caste basis, if that can be treated as a hate, I think we really need, the time has come for all of us to think that what all religious texts are talking about one God, and there is anybody whomsoever is believing in any other God is not acceptable in this world to live. I think the time has come for all of us to understand the hate needs to be defined. And my humble request is that don't be selective when you are addressing the hate. Whether it is certain Juda or whether it is somebody is asking for a boycott, both are condemnable.
Every such incident has been debated.
But always balance it out.
So that one more.
It is having a
number one, there cannot be a fake equivalence. And number two, if there will be a matter of hate, it will be brought up prominently. Not against one community, one party, one person, but all. What you see on your screen right now, the pictures that you see on your screen right now, are an example of what we are setting out to do. Rohan Gupta. So you may choose to accuse us of whatever, Mr. PKD Nambiar, you and Professor Das, but you will not be successful in provoking. Rohan Gupta.
Yeah. See, Sanket, the way
I know, once again,
the way we are, the way this BJP spokesperson or some other gentleman in speaking in favor of government, the way they are defending it, that itself is not, acceptable. Hate speech is hate speech, something which generates hates in mind of people in name of religion, caste or whatever, that is hate speech. I don't think so that requires definition. I don't think it just requires your basic instinct to understand what is hate speech. Here the question is why the action is not taken, why there is increase in incidents of hate speech in BJP government. Why there is an increase? Because they know that they can get political benefit out of it, and they know that no action will be taken. You tell me why the MP or the spokesperson of a national party on national TV, they can, dare to do this, because they know that no action will be taken.
There is an article on a prominent website today that the BJP is very upset with what Mr. Parvesh Verma has said, and they've asked for the full tape. I do not know whether this is actually going to happen or not, but there is a write-up which we just read that the BJP is apparently upset with what Mr. Parvesh Verma has said. Yes, Professor Das, your closing comments.
Yes, Sanket, once again, for giving me another time. Anyway, so see, this is any hate speech is condemnable. That's the number one. Number two, the Congress spokesperson, again and again, he was emphasizing BJP. Can I ask him the question, can he condemn his Takir Raja Khan, who has been giving all the hate speech, and he was giving second time he gave a ticket for contesting. Can he condemn Imran Masood for all his hate speech? He's a congressperson. Can he? Please.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Whoever it is, I am here as a responsible citizen of the country.
Can you name
person of party afterwards?
On this national TV? On this national
I will never justify wrong
on this
for
national
wrong.
TV,
Take action
on this
against
national
everybody.
TV,
But you
can
start
you
from your
name
doorstep.
and say I condemn?
Start from
Can you
BJP.
do that?
Don't just
Can
say
you
that
do-
this
can you
you
do
have
that?
done wrong. I have done also. Both are okay. No.
All the
I
hate
will
speech
never
is being
justify
started
that.
by the Congress
Please
people.
take action.
And you know that
Whoever
very well.
Whoever it is, you must take action.
Now, as sad as it sounds, I have to take a break now because we've got an exclusive interview on the other side. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. We're stopping for a short break at this moment. When we come back, a very special guest. We have author Amish. His latest book is out called War of Lanka. He speaks about his book, of course, and then religion, sensitivity, and the issue that we are debating today, hate. Be with us. Welcome back. You're watching The Big Fight, and now in this part of the broadcast, we are joined in by Amish Tripathi. He's a noted author of the Shiva trilogy as well as the Ramchandra series. Thank you very much, Amish, for joining us. He's on a tour of India because his latest book, War of Lanka, is now out. Amish, you're also the director of the Nehru Centre in London. Thank you very much for speaking to NDTV. My first question, congrats on the book. How's the response been?
Thank you, Sanket. Absolute pleasure connecting with you. Fortunately, the response has been very good. You know, I luckily continue to receive love from my readers. In fact, War of Lanka is selling at an even faster pace than Ravan. So the gods have been kind. Lord Shiva has been kind.
Lord Shiva has been kind, huh? In fact, you've been quoted as saying in the past that Lord Shiva writes your books. He just makes you write it. You've been a best-selling author. Do you feel nervous before a launch?
Interesting question, Sanket. I have to admit, while writing, I don't feel any nervousness at all. Because while writing, frankly,
I'll tell you why I asked this question.
Honestly, don't really care about anyone else. I only focus on writing. I let the process flow. I let the book flow through me. I don't think about anyone else. Not the publisher, not the editors, not critics, media, or frankly, even the readers. But before the promotion phase, yes, I get very nervous. थोड़ा responsibility भी आ जाता है, because the publisher invests a large amount of money in my books. The print runs tend to be reasonably high. So I have this pressure on me. I have to make sure that all those books sell out. And the publisher doesn't lose any money. Fortunately, this one is looking like even in this one, the publisher will make money from this.
Perfect. Good. All the best. But now for a more fundamental question. In this age of Netflix, binge watching, OTT platforms, are people even reading, Amish?
Well, luckily for me, they are. But you make a good point there, Sanket. Look, it's like this. The way I see it, people will always absorb stories, right? The medium to absorb those stories may change. So when we are talking about a book, essentially this book in this structure emerged, around say 600, 700 years ago with the Gutenberg press. Before that, books used to be handwritten, as you know, the illustrated, inscribed books that were made. I'm sure when printed books came up, many of those who used to write books earlier would have thought, oh, the art of storytelling itself will die out. No, it just changed to a different medium. What I suspect is happening with Netflix and with various other avenues that have opened up is that stories can be conveyed through another medium. And in a sense, I like OTT, what are called OTT platforms, essentially Netflix, Amazon Prime, Sony Live, all the others, that are there, Hotstar, etc. Essentially, when you have the gift of time, when it's a 10-episode season, you can build characters just like you can in a novel. In a short movie of just 2.5 hours, it's very difficult to have a deeper storytelling. So a novelist will never like, writing for a film. Rarely will a novelist like writing for a film because you simply don't have the gift of time. But in a OTT platform, you have the gift of time. Actually, that can also be great storytelling. But fortunately, books continue to sell, at least some books. So I am lucky in that score. I continue to receive the love of my readers. Sometimes it's tough love. For example, this book was a little delayed. So, I live in London. There were times when I posted tweets or Instagram posts that I'm cycling at Hyde Park, and I would get scolded in the comments. Why am I wasting time? Go home and write. Get the book out quickly. That was tough love.
Well, I mean, you earned this for yourself. Amish, how difficult is it to tell stories that most already know about? I mean, you're writing Shiva trilogy, the Ramchandra series. Now, these are stories that people already know about, and everybody has an opinion on it. So, how difficult is this process?
Good question. Look, Sanket, it's like this. There is both an opportunity and a challenge. The opportunity is that most Indians, practically all Indians, regardless of religion, caste, class, gender, region, language spoken, practically all Indians never tire of hearing stories of our gods and goddesses, of the Ramayana, Mahabharata and the Puranas. And this has been our way for thousands of years. So people always want to hear these stories, and they want to hear them in different ways, in different perspectives, in different parts of it, all the way from Bhasa and Kalidasa to modern, and then of course in the traditional various versions of the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas. So there is that opportunity. Indians have a natural interest in this for thousands and thousands of years. The challenge is to make sure that you present your interpretation in a respectful manner, so that it appeals. Indians are very comfortable with a different truth, but it must be presented in a respectful manner. And in a sense, you shouldn't. It's difficult to see it as a strategy. If you're genuinely respectful as an artist about these stories, it will come out. The intentions become very clear.
But Amish, let's dwell on that a little. You see, mythological tales are a powder keg for filmmakers, even for writers. You feel tales like Ramayana cannot withstand sort of a reimagined narration. Case in point, the Adi Purush controversy on how Ravan was imagined.
Sanket, what I think happens, and I will not comment on this specific case because frankly I haven't seen the movie, I haven't seen the teaser as well, so I don't know the nature of the debates that are happening. But at a broader level, the way I see it, if an artist writes and promotes with respect, controversies don't happen, whether they are interpretations of the Ramayana, or interpretations of the Mahabharata, or interpretations of the Puranas. We can of course see examples of this in ancient times. For example, Bhasa's Pancharatra, one of the greatest Sanskrit playwrights ever, Bhasa's Pancharatra, reimagined a very significant part of the Mahabharata completely. And in fact, the war didn't happen in Bhasa's interpretation. And it's one of the greatest classics. It remains alive to this day. Goswami Tulsidas Ji's Ramcharitmanas doesn't have the the Uttarkand, which is of course there in the Valmiki Ramayana. That's a very significant change. In the modern day, look at movies. So if someone suggested to an Indian filmmaker, I've quoted this example a few times. If someone suggested to an Indian filmmaker to shoot a scene where the main lead actor breaks the base of a shivling and then carries it on his shoulder, and then places it under a waterfall, most Indian filmmakers would say, have you gone mad? But in the hands of a genuine devotee, such as Rajamouli ji, it becomes one of the most iconic scenes of Indian cinema in Bahubali. I think Indians have a heart large enough to accept different truths, as long as the intentions are good, as long as it is made with respect. And another example, if I may say so, are my books. My books aren't really secrets. They've sold, by Lord Shiva's grace, up 6 million copies. My publishers tell me that the Shiva trilogy is the fastest selling in Indian publishing history, and the Ramchandra series is the second fastest selling book series. You won't find any controversies around me. So my submission is that if an artist writes and promotes with respect, Indians can see those intentions. And then it's not really a powder keg at all. There's no controversy.
Okay. But you know, as a writer of the Shiva trilogy, and given the fact that Ravan was a devout Shiv Bhakt, how do you imagine Ravan? And how should Ravan be imagined? Because, you know, in this, through the course of this debate, a lot of people said that this is an insult in the Sanatan Dharma. You have villainized Ravan way beyond how he needs to be villainized. So I want to ask you, is he the quintessential villain for you in your version of the mythology?
You know, this thing of hero villain is a rather modern Western concept, and they're very loaded words. You know, the translation of hero and villain in Sanskrit, Nayak and Khalnayak, don't actually mean those things. You know, Khalnayak doesn't exactly translate as villain. Nayak means that who carries the story forward, the character who carries the story forward, and Khalnayak is the one who distracts from the story moving forward. So it's not as loaded, right, as hero and villain. And if you read the ancient versions of the Ramayana, look, I've read many versions of the Ramayana, you know, or been told them through my family, Valmiki Ramayana, Ramcharitmanas, Kamba Ramayanam, Kritibashi Ramayana, Advut Ramayana, Anand Ramayana. There are so many. Now, most of the versions of the Ramayana don't see Ravan as a pure monster, but they never show him as a hero either. They show him in a nuanced way that, of course, he had bad points, and those bad points are spoken of. You know, that, and we all know them, you know, no control over his ego, no control over his anger, no control over his desires. But his good points are also spoken of. You know, the fact that he was a very knowledgeable man. He was a master of the Vedas. He was a brilliant musician. He was a fierce warrior. Those good points are also spoken of. And as you said rightly, he was a devout worshipper of Lord Shiva. He had the blessings of Lord Shiva. So our ancestors saw things in a far more nuanced way, and perhaps we could learn from our ancestors on how to see things.
Yeah, but then, you know, there is also this debate on whether you know, who exactly is saying what about Indian mythology, and would people not take it coming from, you know, a person from another religion. Anyway, the reason why I'm asking you this question is because at a time there are ban calls for movies and ads over depiction of Hindus and Hindu customs. More recently, this ad by Amir Khan showing a Greh Pravesh flip or a reversal. You think we have become an extremely oversensitive society where we can't stand any creative liberty being taken by an artist?
Sanket, this can be answered at a few levels. That the first thing is we must realize, at least those who live in big cities, that look, Twitter is not India. You know, if Twitter was actually India, India would be in chaos. But on a per capita violence basis, India is actually among the most peaceful nations on earth on a per capita violence basis. You know, the violent crime rate in New York or Boston is 10 times the violent crime rate in Indian big cities, despite Western police forces being much larger, their court systems being much better. We all know how our court system is, tariq par tariq. You know, justice, you know, rarely gets done on time. Our police forces are undermanned. So why is our violent crime rate low? Because I suspect most Indians are actually intuitively far more peaceful. We don't take to violence as easily as many other countries, including developed countries in the West. The second point, you know, I find no problems if words are answered with words. You know, if I put out a creative piece of work, someone else has the right to like it or dislike it. As long as words are answered with words, there is no problem. There's a problem if words are answered with violence. That is unacceptable. And like I said, that happens often in many other countries. In India, frankly, it doesn't happen that often. And I think the third thing to speak of is, and this is happening in many democracies across the world, I'm sure you've heard of John Nash's game theory. If there is one or two or a few communities which take offense and respond to words with violence, and many other communities don't do that, they respond to words with words. Then according to John Nash's game theory, the Nobel Prize winning John Nash, this is not a stable equilibrium. It can move in one of two directions. Either everyone starts taking offense and responding to words with violence, or nobody takes offense and responds to words only with words. It will move in one of these two directions. This is happening in democracies across the world. Every community, I would hope every community responds to words with words. Words should not be responded to with violence.
True. And in that context, the perfect response to an ad should be another ad, or a perfect response to a movie should be another movie. And speaking of that, or every response to a book should be a book. And I want to ask this final question to you, Amish. Do you ever fear that you too could be a victim of cancel culture or moral police, as many of the artists are?
I've been in this field for 12 years. I've come out with 10 books. Have you heard any controversy around me? No, right? Luckily for me, I get love and support from people of all sides of the ideological spectrum, all sides of the political spectrum, because I think I speak with pride of our Indian traditions, and I also speak with a liberal, inclusive spirit, because I think our traditions are actually very liberal and inclusive. I see no reason for anyone to whether you like or dislike my books, that's up to you, right? But I see, there has never been a reason for someone to get offended, because I write with respect. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I mean, I don't think you would have read any controversy around me.
Let's hope it remains that way. But thank you so much, and congratulations on your new book. Thank you very much, Amish, for joining us. With that, it's a wrap in this edition. News and updates continue on the other side.